Hey everybody, Zach here, and welcome to the 25th lesson of this RTS tutorial series. In this lesson, we will work on getting our units to move from point A to point B, or simple unit movement. So that said, fire up your editor, and let's get started. Hi guys, and welcome back to the editor. Before we get started on actually moving our units, there's a couple of bugs I want to talk about, one of which we're going to fix, and two of which are a challenge for you guys to address before the final video of this section. So I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to show you a couple of them. So first, let's spawn in a couple of units. Let's say I only want to select the unit on the left, but I drag too far. I want to unselect that one on the right, but if I drag back, it's still selected. So that's one of the issues that I'm going to leave for you guys to fix. And I'll give you a hint. I want you to consider where we're selecting them inside the Marquee HUD we set up. The other issue, and some of you might have noticed this pretty quickly, if you right-click a character, we have Alexis Parker here, we have our birthday and all the stats, we close it out, and we want to make our new Marquee selection, we can't. We're stuck in where we can draw. The easiest way to fix that is if we close that out and we go to our, I don't know why these are still open, sorry about that. We go to our widgets and we go to our unit info. If you go over to your graph, all you need to do is unselect this hide cursor during capture. Compile, let's play just to make sure, spawn in a couple of units. We'll look at a profile, Ben Rufus, close it out, highlight, click the profile again, Ben Rufus, and we can continue to highlight without any issues. And we have Alexis Parker yet again. Interesting. So we're just going to save that. And next, what we'll do is just going to point out one small bug that might be a little bit hard to see. But this character is going to turn 49 on January 1st, 2020. So there's a bug in how we've calculated our character age. And I'll leave that to you to sort out again, along with the issue of selection prior to the last video of this section, where I will show how I've sorted it out. Now that said, what are we doing today? Well, we're giving these characters movement. And right now we can select it, and that's about it. That's a bit boring. We can just highlight it and look at the profile. We want to be able to tell them to do stuff. So we're going to start today with some very basic AI tools. We aren't going to do anything that will look like AI to most people. So what we're going to do is we are going to give a basic movement command to our character. We're also going to spawn in our sort of location marker. So what I want you to do is I want you to open up your player controller, and I can close up this HUD, sorry about that. What we're going to do is we're going to just look at our options, not the spawn widget, not the select the units. So we're going to go to our main graph, and we have our secondary action here. We're going to actually use our secondary action. Remember we set this is unit selected bit. Actually, let's go to our HUD as well, make sure we've made sure to pass the information that our unit is selected. So we're saying it's selected in the unit. We're just not passing to the actual controller that that unit is selected. So what we're going to do here is we're also going to just drag off of here, and we're going to do, I'm actually glad I checked my notes because I'm slightly incorrect on what I was saying to do. What we're going to do is we're going to go into here, and we are going, you notice we're back in our player controller, by the way. We're going to set our selected in here. So it's just going to grab our is unit selected. I'm going to just set it out here, make it true for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to simply drag off of this, and we're going to do a branch and plug the branch into from the true into there. And our condition to make this true is that there has to be something in here. The way we're going to do that is we're going to get our selected units, and we are going to get the last item from the array, the last index. I use last index as I tend to find that I get fewer errors than using just is the index equal to or greater than 0? If it's, which oddly is what we're doing, is it equal to or greater than 0? It just seems to work better than, you know, get and then checking is the first one valid. So if that is true, if the index is at least 0 or greater, the last item in the index is 0 or greater, then we are setting unit is selected. All right, we're going to compile and save real quick. Now we also have to remember when this turns off. So what we should do is we should find where we deselect our units and turn off our selection there. So if we go back to our marquee selection, let's see where we deselect our units. Well, we deselect our units here. And again, this little icon, this is selected, is not the one in our player controller. This is coming from our selected units array. And an individual unit in that array, individual element in that array is an individual unit. We need to set this as false somewhere. Sorry for all the little jumps. My dog had decided not to be quiet. He decided to move around. But he's a dog. These things happen. So the easiest place I think to set it is actually off of the marquee here. On the get input start, sorry. On the get input start. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it here. Just on the end of this sort of is set part. And we'll do a reference to our controller. And all we're going to do is unit selected. And we're going to do set. And we're just going to set it to false. So this will automatically go to false every time we go to select a unit and go to true when we have a unit selected. This should make our lives a tiny bit easier. Should being the operative word. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to then give these units commands based on the fact that they're selected. Or at least allow for the isSelected command to go through. So if we go back to our player controller, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this section for our right mouse button. We're just going to move it out of the way for now. We're going to move it down here. I'm going to move our marquee items all the way back up to where the where the right click was. So that's our marquee on press and on release. Here's our event tick. Actually, I'd like to have my event tick up here, closer to the on begin play, just because it tends to, these items tend in my head to be grouped together. I know that the event tick only right now is handling things for our marquee select, and this is part of our marquee select. It updates our holding. So I'm just going to move that there. Now that those are there, let's move all of this down here. And we have a branch for our is a unit selected. Now what I'm going to do is just highlight this, and I'm almost tempted just to put this as its own function. In fact, I will for now. So I'm going to right click, collapse to function, and this will be get unit HUD. And that just is going to clear up some space for me. That's the only reason I'm really doing that, is I just want that space there. Next, what we need to do then is we need to give this branch, this true branch, something to do. So we're going to come off of here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create another branch. Oddly enough, just like the branch we've collapsed into a node there had a branch at the very start. I'm going to add in a reroute node right away. I'm not sure what a reroute road is, but you know, I'll take it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a get hit result under cursor by channel here. And if we hit anything that's valid, then we will actually, return a true and have a valid target we can move to. So get hit result under cursor by channel. If the return value is valid, then we've hit something that we care about. We don't need the trace to be complex, and we do want to get these hit results. So we're going to break hit results, and the next thing we're going to do is we are going to do a new variable off of here. We're going to do promote a variable. This will be target location, and we're going to set that right away, assuming this is true. Okay, so if this is true, then we have a set target location. What we're then going to do is we're going to have a sequence of events that occur. The sequence of events are going to be a bit confusing. We're actually going to do it wrong at first because I want to show you the logic I used to get here. I mean, if I already knew, having done this a few times, what I would need to do, but if you've never done this, you're going to skip a step, and I'm going to skip that now as well. Don't worry, at the end of the video, we will actually have all those steps in place. So I'm going to put a sequence in. The first thing I want to have happen when I click on the map, when I right click after selecting a character, is I want a decal to spawn in. So let's spawn that decal in. So spawn decal, oh, not attached, sorry. Should be at location. Spawn decal at location. Alright, so now we spawn the decal on location. We need to declare what the decal is. And it is our move, sorry, that's what that is, move location decal. And the size, I'm just going to give that to you right now, is 32, 64, 64. If you don't know why it's those numbers, that is the same size we've used on the decal for the units themselves. That's all that number actually really is. So I'm just going to compile and show you what I mean when I say that. If you go to our unit, go to your unit master, go to your viewport, and you select your selector and decal. Oh, sorry, it's double the size. I just literally doubled the size, so it was something bigger. When I first did this, I did do it at 16, 32, 32. I thought it was a bit small, so I think 32, 64, 64 is better for the movement icon. So let's just, see if this works. We're gonna spawn a unit in. We'll select it, and we're clicking. Nothing is showing up. Well, the reason why nothing is showing up, because I forgot to do something really obvious, is I forgot to put in a target location. So just attach your target location to location there. Lifespan, you're going to leave as 0. That means it's an infinite life. So now if we start and we spawn a character in, there is our movement location, except for he's not moving to it, and they're not vanishing. Okay. So that's the first thing we need to think about in terms of things we skipped. Making this thing vanish. So there are two conditions on which they need to vanish. First one is when the actor or the character reaches a location, and the second one is when we give a new order if they haven't achieved the first one. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to actually delete the decal before we create it. Yeah, it might sound a bit confusing. So to make this easier, what we're going to do is we're going to create a reference to this decal. So we're going to promote to variable, and this will be our previous location decal. And as I said, we're going to delete this before we even create it. And the way we do that is we simply grab a reference to our decal, we get it, and then we do destroy component. And we plug that into there, and we plug that into there. Now there's only a problem with this. One significant problem. Let's actually see what happens when we try to play this. So I'm going to spawn a character in, and it's deleting it all right, but it is actually causing quite a few problems. We're going to get this error. And this error is going to cause a slew of problems down the road. It's actually eventually going to cause the game to crash because there's a problem with, memory not being valid, and we're actually eating up space for things that have been allocated. So what we want to do is valid. We're checking, is this a null pointer, or is there actually something of value inside of this, inside of the variable we're looking at. I'm going to give myself a tiny bit more room here. Just move that way. And going to set this up here. I'm going to plug the isValid in to there. And then I'm going to plug this output from the destroy component into the spawn decal. And then I'm going to take the isNotValid and also spawn it into the decal. So regardless if we have a previous icon or not, we want to go on to the spawning the icon at this point. Just going to put a couple of reroutes in to make this a bit prettier. In fact, actually I'm going to get rid of that. Plug that into there. And then plug a reroute into there just so it's a tiny bit nicer looking, in my opinion. Again, you don't have to do reroutes the way I do them. I have my own style. You should have whatever works for you. I'm just going to drag this up here. I'm going to put a reroute in here. And then I'm going to drag off this reroute and plug it into our isValid. Put another reroute there, just so that is a bit neater looking. I did not mean to unhook that pin. So I'll plug that 0 back into the execute. So now what's happening is, it comes in, it checks, do we have a valid item in this previous decal location? If so, delete it, spawn a new icon in. If not, so if you don't have a valid icon in there, that pointer is a null pointer, come in, do nothing, spawn in a new icon. When we spawn in a new icon, we're going to set that as our previous location decal. Now, this fortunately does work per instance of character. So if we have multiple characters on the map, you can get multiple icons as needed. Okay, so now that we have it spawned in, we need to tell the character to move to that icon. And that's what the second node is for, the second part of that sequence. So I'm just going to drag these up here, put my reroute in so it's a bit prettier looking. And I'm going to come down to the second part of my sequence, and I'm going to do a for each loop. So what a for each loop is, it goes for every item in the array. So for every element at this index, do this thing, whatever we put off this loop body. At the end, do this. So what we're going to need is an array. Well, we already have an array of our units set up, fortunately, from our marquee selection. So we're going to pass that array through. And so for every item in this array, so for every unit selected, we want that unit to move to our new location. All right, well, let's do that real quick. Let's move them to our new location. So we're just going to drag off the array element, not the loop body, and we are going to do a get AI controller. Now, when we update this game to actually have our own custom AI in here, we are going to have some differences that we'll talk about. Mostly, a lot of this will go away. We're actually just going to make calls to things on the behavior tree instead. So from the get character AI, off the return value, we want to do move to location or actor. So this is a task, and we'll be using a very similar actually we'll be using this task at the start when we do our behavior trees as well in a couple of sections. So I want to plug this into the loop body. So again, you know, for every item, for every actor in this array, or every character in this array, go to this location. Well, we don't have the location set yet, so let's not make that mistake a second time. Let's set our location. So now we have our location set. I'm just going to open this up. And in here, I want to leave this as, I'm going to change accept partial path to yes. Actually, I'm going to leave it as default. I want to test something later on. You either have it as yes or default. It's fine either way. I will get rid of the lock all logic. Now, I said, you know, when we get to our location, we want to destroy this icon as well. So instead of putting a lifespan in, we'll leave it as infinite. We'll destroy it either when we give them a new target to go to, or when they have reached the target location we want them to go to. So what we'll do on this one is we'll drag off on moved finish. And we will do another, actually we'll just copy this. That's all we're actually doing. Is this valid? If it is, delete it. If there isn't, do nothing. And honestly, up at this point, it should be valid, but I have found that if you do not have this in here, you will get bugs. I do not know why it glitches out if you don't have the isValid part for this section. It makes sense here. It doesn't make sense to me for this part. Actually, no, I do know why that is. It's a bit complex, and I'll actually explain it to you when we get to the next issue we need to fix, because it relates more to that. So now that we have that in, let's test it, make sure our character moves to the correct location. And yes, we are still things we have skipped. So we spawn in a character, we highlight him, and we tell him to go there. Well, he's not moving. Okay. Well, let's take a look at why he's not moving. Sorry about that jump there. Unfortunately, the bug that I ran into while working on this was a bit more involved than I thought it was going to be. It just so happened that my test file also stopped working at the same time, and I had to work out what was going on there. So there are a couple of steps I have neglected in this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to undo what I just deleted. So go to your editor main window here so you can see your level. And in your classes, type in NAV for nav, and you want your nav mesh bounds volume. I'm just going to go to top view, make my life a little bit easier, and just moved so I'm near that tree at the center there. And I'm going to drag my nav mesh bound out there, and I'm going to move to scale. And I'm just going to make this as big as I can. I'm going to stop there for just a second. I'm going to hit the letter P on my keyboard, Papa. And there we go. We can see that it's actually covering the map correctly. That green area is the area that the characters can navigate in. Red areas are areas I can't navigate in. If you have any bugs, by the way, after doing this, always save everything and close out the editor completely and reload. Just going to save right now myself. And the other thing we need to do is we actually need to give the we actually need to start our AI kind of here. So we go to our blueprints folder, and in our blueprints folder we're going to create an AI folder now, and we're just name it AI, and in there we are going to have a AI controller. So if we go to our blueprint class and do AI, you'll find you have a controller and you have an AI controller. We're going to take that AI controller and we're going to select it. And like usual, be RTS underscore unit master controller and AI. Now I'm just going to open this up, make sure there's nothing in here. Actually, I'm going to close it back down right away and open it back up because I don't need the full editor. Make sure everything in here looks right, and I see nothing in here that I need to change. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to save all again, so that just saves. And I'm going to go back to my units and my master unit here, and I'm going to close that out, which now looks better. I don't know why it looked weird earlier. And I'm just going to search for, now I'm going to search for it. Under pawn, I have my possess, and I want this to be spawned. Actually, placed in world or spawned, because we'll actually have some differences later on where we'll have characters get spawned in and some that get placed by us. And this will be our RTS unit master AI. Compile and save. And if we return to our map, it should now all work, minus the bugs I have intentionally left in. So let's spawn in our character. Select that character and tell them to move. And there they are, they're moving. Alright, now let's spawn in. Oh, wait, what are they doing? What are they doing? That'd be the other bug I intentionally left in. So let's go deal with that bug as they go crazy. I thought I was gonna have to spawn in two characters and have them both moving for that bug to show up. So go back to your controller. What's happening is when we abort an action, we haven't told the character, hey, you're actually aborting. We're just giving them a new location to go to. All this information's still stored there. So what we need to do at this point is we need to tell it, hey, stop trying to go there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a stop movement. I'm just going to plug that into there. And we're going to plug that into there. So we'll compile and save and play it. Let's spawn in a unit. Let's give them multiple commands. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's another problem. We're going to get an error, I hope. We're not getting an error. That's actually kind of disconcerting. We're not getting that error. But I'm going to just turn the lighting off on so it's a little bit more obvious what's happening. So we have our unit selected. We tell it to move. We delete its move location. No new one spawns in. So we also need to address that issue. Easiest way to address that issue is simply inside of our controller to add in a few new steps to take care of the issue. So first, just want to double check I haven't deleted anything from earlier. I can get rid of that breakpoint. And no, I have not. Okay, awesome. So one of the other things we want to do is we also, again, we want to stop our character movement. And we want to do it up here. I'm going to just drag that down there. And I'm going to drag this back a tiny bit. Sorry, I like it being neat, as you know. Drag that into there. Drag that out that way so it doesn't look as cramped. And then what I'm going to do is I am simply going to drag off of here, put a reroute in just so it's easier, and plug that up there. And let's make sure that this actually addresses that issue. And there we go. So without that second delete action, it won't add in the other location. So that now takes us through everything we need to do to give a basic movement command. What I am going to do for the rest of this, for the next part of this section, is we're going to bring in moving vehicles into the game. And that is actually a bit complex, so I'm not sure if it'll be 1 or 2 episodes yet for that one. But I will be able to tell you on Friday when the first half of it, if it's done in 2 parts, is released. Now, as always, please drop any comments down below. I'm only including the vehicle section because so many people have requested to see a tutorial on how to include videos in RTS games. So I do take those comments seriously. Also, please, sorry, I enjoyed doing this last time. Please, if you like the video, hit that like button so I know that I'm bringing you content that you value and that you appreciate. It also helps get this channel out there to people who might not have known about it previously. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.